Our team will present the Greenfield project, which is a framework of interventions for urban sustainability. And our team is Ellen Goni, Daniela Noriega, and I, Alejandra Tapia, with the tutoring of Marcela Huertas. This will be the outline of our presentation. So we will start with some information on the current situation of urban areas. Then we will follow by explaining the Greenfield concept, which is a model that we have developed for the greening process of a neighborhood. And then we will go to the Valle Real case, which is an application that we have exemplified with this model to assess the model itself. And then we will see the project cycle that has to be used to make this kind of projects. To further on talk a little bit about the interventions that we have to do for urban sustainability, and then see the actual recommendations that we have made and developed for Valle Real neighborhood. Okay, so as you all know, climate change is a real issue. Now we have that CO2 emissions are supposed to increase in 43% in 2035. The global urban population is at 50% and is expected to increase to around 70% in the next 40 years. And when talking about these numbers applied to Latin America, we have that they are supposed to increase to a 90%. So the difference is pretty huge. So because of this situation, we have now an evolution on the legislative and financial framework that is now, the governments are now promoting housing programs, environmental policies, and financial instruments to promote sustainable practices in urban areas. And although we have now an increasing awareness of the citizens and people is getting more and more engaged to participate and be more sustainable in their lifestyles, they are kind of lost and people don't know really where to go. So we have created a roadmap for sustainability, which we call Greenfield. So what is Greenfield? It's a replicable framework of interventions to promote sustainable lifestyles in neighborhoods. This model has four main principles. So the first one is supporting the environment. We say supporting because respecting is not enough anymore. So we have to restore, protect, and strengthen the ecosystems where neighborhoods are installed. Then we have encouraging efficient use of resources. This has to be done in all levels. Further on, we have creating healthier living conditions. And this principle is really, really important because people get really motivated by this principle because they can actually see a benefit for them by being more sustainable. And then we have developing citizen culture, which is one of the most important things to actually achieve or to have a success in the project, because that's if people is not committed, you will not have a positive result. So all these four principles have to be backed up with economic viability. And the model seeks to find sources of savings and even economic benefits so that the project will be really sustainable and can actually and be really interesting to implement in all urban areas. So the model has to be applied in a project cycle, which we'll explain the steps really in detail. And this is for people that wants to make a neighborhood more greener neighborhood, but don't know how to start. So we're going to provide the steps and to say which interventions they can apply so that they can start actions on their own. So Valle Real condominium, where we will exemplify this model, it's in Mexico. Here you can see where it is located. And we just will have a quick view of the main entrance of the condominium. Okay, so why Valle Real? Valle Real comes with three characteristics that make it really interesting make this project feasible, which are first, that we have citizen culture that's really being really favorable, because the administration, it's interesting and it's actually looking now for alternative sources of energy to supply the public areas electricity. So here it's really important to state that they manage all their services internally. So they take care of their own electricity, their security, the maintenance of the green areas, and even the water treatment for green areas. And in garbage recollection also. So here we have the 8 phases of the project cycle. And for Valle Real application, we have developed in the introduction phase. We have stated already some objectives that they can then use to start their project. We have researched all the local conditions, the financial instruments, the possible partnerships that they can have to apply to make interventions. And then from these local conditions with the possibilities, we have identified what would be the most suitable for them. And with these possible solutions, we have designed specific plans of actions in each intervention that can be applied. So if they're interested in our suggestions, they can go back to the introduction phase, communicate the project to the whole community, and then, of course, adapt it to their preferences. And so Daniela will start explaining the interventions more in detail.
Okay, thank you, Ale. So this framework of interventions groups the different alternatives in 7 main areas of action. And for this specific neighborhood, we have made recommendations, but also provide a directory of possible suppliers and partners, and as well as the financing instruments available to implement this. For this kind of project in Mexico, we have, according to our analysis, identified that Hipoteca Verde, provided by Infonavit, which is the National Fund for Institute for Workers' Housing, is the best option for this kind of projects, and it is granted for eco-technologies. Now we're going to describe the actual recommendations to Valle Real. Citizen culture is one of the first issues that need to be addressed, as we have said, and it is very important that the inhabitants are engaged from the beginning and that they participate in all the different stages of the project cycle. The purpose of this intervention is to reconcile different and oftentimes conflicting interests and priorities in order, as well as to provide organizational guidance, not only technical one, in order to create a holistic strategy. To promote a citizen culture that actually supports sustainable development, we suggest 3 main lines of action: awareness, participation, and training. In awareness, we aim to ensure that all the participants understand the project and the importance of their role, as well as we suggest that a cost-benefit analysis is carried out to clearly identify and communicate what the benefits will be for these people. In the participation line, we suggest that an environmental management team is created in order to implement and monitor the interventions. And we want to facilitate dialogue and deliberation practices in order to enable collective decision-making, which is in a neighborhood is very important. We also suggest that a web page is created to facilitate communication with the parties and to give visibility to the project. For the training line of action, we aim to develop and strengthen inhabitants' skills and capabilities to promote the proper use of the new technologies and good environmental practices. In the area of energy, the different alternatives for renewable energy generation are described in general, and including these renewable kinds of energy and devices and measures for efficiency. As every household needs to evaluate their own conditions and the kind of house that they have and to determine which is the best possibility for them, we provide a table with key requirements and limitations of every alternative available in the market, or the most important ones, in order for them to have an easier time in evaluating which is the most suitable solution for them. In water, we describe different alternatives for collective or individual implementation with regards to rainwater collection, conservation of potable water, wastewater management, and efficient irrigation. These solutions are also described in general, and the key issues to keep in mind when deciding which one to apply are also described in order for them to be able to decide in the same way that we did for energy. The next intervention is transport. And here the purpose is to promote healthy lifestyles and community interaction through sustainable transportation. The aim is to increase connectivity with the surrounding area and to reduce the use of motor vehicles, especially in short distance traveling, thus saving costs on fuel and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. There are two main proposals that we make, which is to implement a bike sharing and a carpooling system. Here, Valle Real, for the bike sharing, they could partner with Ecobici, which is a system that is already implemented in Mexico City and is working successfully. It works through a prepaid card, which allows the user to retrieve the bike and return it to any other bike station within 30 minutes. For carpooling, we suggest that they use the Aventones system, which is being used in other cities already, and which gives the opportunity to create a specific platform for the condominium in order so that the users only share the car rides with their neighbors, increasing trust and security, which is a very important issue in Guadalajara. The main activities in this proposal is the engagement with the possible interested parties around the neighborhood. Here we suggest the different points where the bike stations could be installed in strategic places, and also the carpooling system website for specific for Valle Real would have to be implemented as well. And they will also need to engage with local government and and create other partnerships in order to share the cost of the initial investment for infrastructure to enable safe bike rides in terms of signaling and bike lanes. So now Ellen is going to continue with the rest of the interventions.
Thank you, Daniela. Okay. As you all know, the construction phase of a building is highly carbon intensive. The design stage is therefore crucial to determine what are the best materials and devices that can be implemented to reduce the impact of the building, of the construction, and the daily use of the building. In Valle Real, 388 lots are still available for construction. In order to make those future houses sustainable, we will hire specialist experts in greenhouses and architects. A collaboration could also be established with the Tech Monterrey University. They could include in their monthly raffle greenhouses, for instance. People will be incentivized to invest in that kind of houses thanks to the reduction in cost maintenance and the saving generating. In the long term, the aim is to make those houses LEED certified in order to prove the sustainability of the neighborhood and to increase the value of the properties. For the next intervention, waste management, Valle Real could easily become an eco-district if everyone really starts sorting its waste using appropriate containers for recyclable materials and also composting the organic waste. Right now, in Valle Real, the waste management is managed by the maintenance services, but it's really limited. Hence, the importance to provide the inhabitants with adapted and user-friendly facilities. This way, recycling points will be placed in different sites of the condominium. You will see in the next slide the emplacement we have chosen. Finally, donation events could be organized in partnership with Valle Real Church and other non-governmental organizations. As you can see in this map, the blue dots represent the recycling points. We place them according to the main entrance, here and on the top and on your left, and also the main axis of the condominium. so that everyone has an equal access to the recycling points. The green dots, you can also see on the map, represent the orchards and vegetable plots that will be created in order to receive the compost from organic waste. And they will, in the same time, provide the community with organic products. Regarding urban landscaping, in order to increase the green area ratio in Valerial, this is to say the proportion of green infrastructure on public and privately owned parcels, the residents will have the possibility to implement green roofs and vertical gardens. The main incentives of those interventions is that it reduces it provides savings thanks to the increase of insulation of the houses. In the common areas, in addition to the previously mentioned the orchards and vegetable plots, we could also plant more trees, natives, so that the green area ratio could be increased. To conclude this presentation, we'd like to stress the fact that greening a neighborhood is a continual process that underlies different correlated criteria in order to facilitate the implementation of green neighborhoods. The first one, economic viability. The project must ensure qualitative benefits, but also a return on investment. The regulatory framework must be adapted and strong enough to support green projects and also the implementation of eco-technologies. And finally, citizen culture. It's another fundamental pillar that can allow the sustainability of the intervention implemented. Once the project is started and settled, the benefits generated on the long term are considerable. A green sphere neighborhood aims to reconcile natural and urban environment. This is a great challenge, but in the end, it really is a win-win situation. Just a few words from Margaret Mead to close this presentation. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. For sure, it's for you as well. For sure, a single neighborhood won't change the world. It may only be a drop in the ocean, but it's the first step. And if we all join our efforts replicating that kind of project, we can really move forward and make the difference. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Curb your enthusiasm, Jan. So thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's a good presentation, very clear. I like the kind of a holistic approach to sustainable neighborhoods and so on. So well done to you. And maybe I felt lack of a bit of a challenge. I think you're talking about Villarreal, which sounds like a very nice place to live already as it is, high income, etc. Maybe it would have been interesting to see, how you do these things in a slum area that is already built and where people don't have, much income. So maybe in that line, what are the things that you've learned through the putting together the project and also during the past few months what are the lessons you can take from this and try to see, you know, how could you try to address that kind of sustainability and creating an environment that's eco-friendly and so on in a different context, not in a high-income neighborhood in Mexico, but maybe, as I said, in a slum area in Kolkata. I mean, any thoughts on that?
I would like to say first that we deliberately chose a high-income community because there have been efforts in developing areas to implement this kind of project.
Yeah.
But they haven't been very successful because they lack the citizen culture and many times the financial instruments to put them in place. Here, what we have also is that high-income communities have a much more bigger impact on the environment because of their way of living, of their living style. They consume much more and they produce much more waste and they have a larger impact. So if we can tackle these communities and we can replicate the model in different neighborhoods and the government is involved and they can see that it works and we can use it as a flagship project that they can then adapt to low-income communities, I think we are making a very good impact to facilitate the further implementation of this kind of projects.
And if I may, as I said, this project is the first step. Once it's replicated, we will be able, the prices of technology will decrease, and then the implementation of that kind of project to low-income community will be easier.
Just congratulations, girls. Nice presentation, nice ending, Hélène. Just a personal remark. I think we've seen in Martin's project, in the project of Energies for Iberdrola, in your project, that there's no like a one magical solution for sustainability. There's always a mix of many different aspects to achieve sustainability. In the case of Martin, not only FSC is needed, intergovernmental actions are needed. In your case, you've tackled many different areas. In the case of Iberdrola, there's going to be a mix of renewable, nuclear, and so on until they end. So if anyone is thinking of a magical solution for this, we're being very naive. There's a mix of and the addition of many factors. So this is my personal reflection. Thank you for your work. I don't know if anyone has.
Hi. You talked in your conclusion, Hélène, about the sort of the factors that sort of a development like this needs to overcome, one of which is sort of citizen culture and so on, which I heard a lot about how you would influence that in the presentation. But you also mentioned economic viability, which is clearly crucial to this happening at all. And what I didn't see in your presentation was any indication of the costs or sort of the of any of these measures, because I mean, realistically, these are high-income people. But when you start installing, you know, the range of measures that you're looking at, there is a cost implication. I just wondered if I could get some more detail from you on that.
Yeah, if I can answer that, we requested like a lot of information to this neighborhood. We had a contact, and although they gave us some information, they don't have all the. It's just like a private neighborhood, and they don't have all these. Really in detail and even individual information per household. So we did a survey. And of course the surveys and in long distance, they take a lot of time and everything. So actually our focus was to, of course, justify it with costs. So the thing we could do is, like I said before, they were looking for alternative sources of energy. And so they're in the part of the public electricity that the condominium uses. We could propose a solution that would be best than the electricity that they are using now. But since their numbers are really not accurate, it's not, it was our limit from our part. And well, also in this part, of course, the main focus of the project is the framework is a model. So although we wanted to apply it, we did encounter these limitations. but it was already taken into account.
And as we said, this is one of the things that they, if they choose to implement the project and to develop their own and specific solutions, they will have to decide and evaluate the cost. And there are so many different alternatives in the market for all the different kinds of renewables and all the different areas of intervention. So for the scope of this project and for the time that we had, we couldn't really address the cost and the benefits, economical benefits that they will get for every alternative, but this is definitely a stage that would have to be part of the complete project cycle when they choose to implement.
So the aim, therefore, is to give them the tools to make their own assessment rather than to give them the answer. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for a break? Yes? Well, let's go for one then, and we're back here, what time? Is it enough time? 20 minutes.